What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is the Legendary Fountain Titan. Want to talk about God of War Ragnarok and, kind of review it in my eyes, if it's like, a good game or a bad game or etc. I talked about 2018's God of War, so I think it's only fair that I do cover this game as well. I decided 2018 was, without a doubt in my mind, it was a 10 out of 10 for, it was just a great game all around. Do I feel that God of War Ragnarok deserves a 10 out of 10 right away? Like, to say, do I think it does deserve it? I can say right away that I do not believe so. I think it's not as good as the 2018's God of War. I think there was a lot of disappointment when it came with Ragnarok. I do think it's a great game. The story, like the first time you play it, it will intrigue you a lot. Like it is a very, like the gas is not leaving, like the foot is not leaving the pedal, throughout the whole game. If you get my meaning, like it doesn't really slow down. It does slow down a little bit in the middle, I suppose. But not in a bad way. It gives you like time to breathe, sort of deal. But like you're always wanting to get to the next quest, the main quest, just because it's just so damn interesting with everything that's going on in the universe. In God of War Ragnarok. There's so many gods, so many different conflicts going on. So many characters getting their own, story arcs, and just, very interesting drama and action, epic battles, epic the music's just absolutely phenomenal. I mean, it's always has been, for the God of War series, even dating back to, the first God of War ever. The music has always been what I would consider legendary of the series, and it still maintains that title. And in my personal opinion, I honestly think it's even better tracks than the older God of Wars. As I just prefer, for me, I just love more bass music, and that the Nordic God of War games have more bass music. That's just kind of how. I mean, I don't really know why. I just find bass music way more, like higher bass music, way more intriguing, honestly. And yeah, I mean, like I said, God of War Ragnarok is definitely. If you haven't played it yet, I will be going into spoilers, obviously, since I am going to review the game. So I do want you guys to experience it for yourself if you haven't already, as it is a absolutely masterpiece of a game. Like I said, I don't think it deserves as much credit as God of War 2018, and I'll kind of get over that, a lot of the reasons why. If to say my point, to like, since I'm talking about ratings and stuff, if I would have to give God of War Ragnarok a rating for you guys right away, I would have to say God of War Ragnarok probably does deserve. I don't think 9, and I don't think 10. I would say between 7 or 8. The big part is, for me, I think the ending was very lackluster. Just like here, like if you have a timeline, a timetable, I would say 65% of the game is very well written without many plot holes at all. Like 65% of it is pretty good. But when you get to the last 35%, it's just so the problems really start to arise with how the story was written. And I would have forgiven a lot of it had the epic battle, had the final battle been epic. The final battle, I mean, it was epic for the start. But after the start of the battle, it really lost all of that magic. It really did. Um, and like, I hate that. I hate bashing the game, but the final battle was just really really bad. But apart from that, let's just say the final battle for later. What? Let's get the things I like about the game. The characters, like I said already, the characters had great arcs. A lot of the characters from the previous game, Brock, Sindri, Freya, all got immense amount of time and character build up. We got to see Thor, Odin, Heimdall, Freyr, which is Freya's brother, sorry, and you know all of those characters are pretty interesting. Maybe not so much Freyr. I didn't really care too much for him personally. I think he was all right. He helped push the story forward, I suppose, but outside of that, I didn't really care too much about him personally, just because we didn't have much time with Freyr. That's really all. But it was kind of nice to see Freya and him get together again, just like Brock and Sindri kind of did. I kind of did wish we got more to do with Freyr, but it was. We're talking about Ragnarok here. We don't really have time to really squeeze everything in to make it all perfect with every character. But it's just nice to see that it got resolved with Freya and Freyr. The whole thing with Tyr, I thought was interesting. Although I am still confused on how Odin was able to do some of the things that Tyr like we think that Tyr is there for some things, but it was actually Odin the whole time. But like there was a lot of things that supposedly Odin did that doesn't make any sense, because like there's a lot of like feats of strength that he did, and I don't take Odin for being like strong, like physically strong. He doesn't seem like that at all. He seems like he's more just powerful in the sense of like using magic, using manipulation and stuff like that, but he doesn't seem like he's physically strong. Like there was a few points where like Atreus falls, Kratos goes and saves him, and they're getting like sucked into like a worm, like a water pool or something. I forget exactly, but there's that part where Kratos throws his chain to him, and I mean Tyr kind of effortlessly pulls them both in. I don't think Odin would be able to pull Kratos in. I mean, I could be wrong on that, maybe, but I don't know. It just doesn't seem like. But there's also like some other times like where like Tyr like lifts, like pulls down like a huge platform, so we could go and continue our mission. But I just don't see those types of things with Odin. It just doesn't make much sense to me. But apparently it was Odin the whole time. I just don't see how it was. I guess I didn't take him for being physically strong like that, but apparently he was. And then, the whole thing with... I mean... I'll talk about that later. But let's talk about Thor. I mean, Thor is obviously like the coolest character like for me, especially this version of Thor. This version of Thor is like not even close. Like when you compare the Thor from Marvel, it's not even close. I absolutely loved this version of Thor. He's big, he's chunky, he's like, dude, he just looks like a bear. Like, he looks like a fucking tank, dude. And I love it, though. I love it. Like, just seeing how big he is. He's tall. He's big. I mean, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. He looked cool. He had that badass armor. He had a cool cape. He had a badass hammer. The lightning on him looked so cool. I mean, everything about Thor just looked amazing. The first battle you have with him is absolutely legendary. Just seeing two destroyers as going at it, fist to fist, blade to hammer. It was just so satisfying. And Thor was probably the coolest entry of this of all the characters, because it was mostly other gods that were introduced to us. Like, we didn't have like anyone like Brock as Sindri. We're just meaning like gods throughout the entire game, pretty much. But yeah, I mean, it was absolutely amazing. I absolutely loved, just everything to deal with Thor. He was a welcome addition. Absolutely loved everything about Thor. I mean, every single time he was on set, on screen, he just dominated the entire screen. Even if it wasn't a camera shot of just him taking up the whole screen, he just stole the scene anyway. Yeah, I mean, he was awesome. Jormungandr back in his all glory. I love seeing Jormungandr as well. Jormungandr is probably my second favorite, second to Thor. I just love Thor. I mean, Thor, like I said, I don't care much for the Marvel Thor, honestly. Like, he's not bad, but well, hell, I actually liked Thor in Marvel until I seen this Thor. This Thor just, dude, just completely dwarfed the Marvel's Thor. But outside, okay, so other characters. Surtur, I didn't care for. Surtur was kinda, I don't know. I don't know, his motivations are kind of just fucked, I guess. I don't know. He seems like he's barely in it, I don't know. I didn't really care. He didn't really have much of a role, and he didn't really have much of a character build up. And also, I find it hard to believe that the person responsible for the destruction of Asgard in the future would just be standing in the open of Muspelheim? Really? He didn't hide or nothing until then? I mean, because he would have known that Odin was after him, surely. And you can't tell me that Surtur was just so powerful that Odin and Thor couldn't take him down. There's no possible way. And even if, let's just say, he was powerful to fight those two, there's no way he could fight Thor, Odin, Thrud's daughter, Heimdall. I mean, no, they said that Heimdall can't even be touched by anyone. So, there's no way that Surtur would have been. So, if Odin knew that he was there, why didn't he just kill him? That doesn't make any sense to me, because he stole Odin. I forget exactly what he did to Skull and Hati. I think he didn't he capture them or something? Because they were part of Ragnarok too. They had something to do with Ragnarok, that if he had them captured, that he wouldn't have to worry about Ragnarok in a sense. But for whatever reason, for whatever reason, Odin and Thor, they just never did anything about the Surtur, the man that's responsible for Ragnarok. It doesn't make any sense to me. And then apparently Tyr, I guess he just was never there. Apparently once you grab all the ravens, there's a bunch of Odin ravens around the map. And once you grab them, though, you go to a little prison and you find the real Tyr, apparently. And in Valhalla, the Valhalla DLC, I think you find Tyr as well, because I saw like a little cutscene with him, because like it was so hard for me to avoid spoilers before I played this game. It was absolutely insane. So I'll tell you what I did see before I actually did play the game. I saw the fight with Thor and Kratos. I didn't see the whole thing, but I did see Kratos fight Thor, and then the first time around anyway. And then I saw, the scene with Thor and Kratos at the table. I saw that. I saw, I saw the Tyr DLC. I saw Tyr in the Valhalla DLC, and then the other thing I saw was, something with Angrboda. I saw something with her, but I didn't know what her part was gonna be. And then I saw something with Atreus going to Asgard. Like a small segment of that. I saw that. Those were like the main things I kind of saw. But like outside of that, I didn't really see anything else. And I didn't and there were only like very small segments I saw, very small pieces. So I really couldn't tell you like what any of it really meant or how it happened, basically. So I didn't see much of the game before I played it. So it was a very surprising, how it ended and everything was very surprising to me. But yeah, like for characters though, I think every character that was introduced was phenomenal. Like I butchered that word, like how I pronounce that, but the actors did amazing. The actors did absolutely amazing. All the old actors and new ones were great. And I love seeing, because I seen after I beat the game, I've seen like many interviews with each character, like each person, like the person that plays Kratos, Sonny that plays Atreus. I've seen Thor, Freya interviews, Sindri, Brock. I love Brock. Mir, and etc. So I saw all like these interviews with these people, watched them all, and the thing I love about it even more now after watching all of them is just how much love and passion and just knowing that they all loved and just enjoyed being a part of this journey with God of War. Like it was just so nice seeing all that energy from them, Like you could tell that like all of them were so into it. And it was just really cool. And I was surprised because like the person that plays Freya was actually like, well, she was really like nervous to actually get into it, and I don't know if she was like she was, how do I put it? I guess like very new to it all. I guess to the acting thing, but like I wouldn't have been able to tell. Like I think she's new. Am I thinking of the same person? I think so. But I think she's like pretty new to acting and everything when she first started God of War, and I wouldn't have been able to tell. Like her acting, her voice, especially in God of War Ragnarok, was just really good. Like I felt like I was actually talking to the goddess Freya. Like, I mean, she did her part just absolutely perfectly, in my opinion. Yeah, she was a great actress for sure. I don't think I could even see anyone else playing Freya. I mean, she was great. She was absolutely great. I mean, it was funny because like there's like a lot of scenes with Uh, she was saying there was a lot of scenes of like where she had to like cry for the scene, and she said she was like so dried up in certain scenes, and I was just like, yeah, I didn't even think about that, like how they had to like reshoot scenes, and like how they had to like it was just really hard for them to keep doing it over and over and over again, like just without drying up sort of deal. It's just like, damn, I didn't think of that. I didn't think how hard that would be, because the camera is a lock on, so you have to stay with that camera for several minutes, and that could be very, very challenging, especially if you mess up and you gotta do it all over again and again and again. Like I remember specifically the biggest pain he has when the film was the one like not for Freya, but like the interview with Sindri, like the death scene of Brock. Like they had to retake that like 8 times or something like that. Oh, I couldn't imagine having to do that 8 times over. Like that would be just nuts. And the fact that it was just so hard for them to really do, like for them to actually get like their eyes, like where they're looking at right and everything, just because the size difference, because obviously they're not like dwarves in real life. So it was just kind of interesting with interviews. But anyway, my point is like the actors all just had such like love for the story, and I think it really like the game really reflects that, because like all of them did such a fantastic job at playing each character. I don't think there was a single character in the whole Norse mythology realm that I could really dislike, honestly. They all played their part really, really well, and it really felt like a one badass journey we all went on. I mean, so many of those actors got rewards too. It was amazing. What else can we talk about? We talk about characters. I haven't really talked too much about the story. The story was, like I said, 65% of it. The problem started to arise once we discovered the mask. Once we talked about the mask and discovered it and everything, that's when problems really started to arise. It's like, okay, what does this mask do? We don't know, because by the end of it, we destroy it. Nothing really comes of it. I mean, I guess it's just a way to find infinite knowledge, so maybe it is a good thing that Atreus didn't see that, because he'd just be cursed with it then, with knowledge. But, so maybe it's a good thing that it was destroyed, but I don't know. But the whole, like I said, the whole thing with Tyr just didn't make much sense to me, just because there was so many times where it seemed like he just had insane strength, which I didn't think appealed to Odin, but whatever. And then, but the battle was just, the battle was just the ultimate letdown. And getting Surtur was just so easy to do. It just kind of felt like, I don't know. It felt like the writers got themselves in a hole, and then they're like, well, how do we get Surtur to help them? Oh, the blades, Kratos' blades, they have primordial fire, so they can just use that. It just seemed like such a cop-out for bringing the most powerful character in right away. And I didn't really like that. It just felt so rushed. And like I said, the fact that Odin didn't just go and kill his ass. I mean, he's the person he's trying to prevent from attacking Asgard, and yet he's just standing here most of the time, just fucking crafting a sword, just like, hey, like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, if Odin saw that, you would immediately think that, like, he would send like I was saying before, assumingly that he would be able to fight Thor and Odin. Like, bro, this is the motherfucker that threatens your entire home. Even if Thor and Odin wasn't enough, all like this Surtur is a threat to all of Asgard. Send every motherfucker if you have to beat him. Like, he's the one that's destined to destroy your home. Send every fucking one then if you can't beat him. And I seriously doubt that Thor wouldn't be able to beat him in his state. I seriously doubt that, because Thor was fucking insane. I mean, I would say he's close to the power level of, Kratos. Like, I'd say that they're pretty... I mean, at least at the beginning of the game, they're on par, but fucking later on, it doesn't seem like that at all. And, yeah, I don't know. I feel like a lot of the problems near the end of the story was it just really all started to arise rather quickly. The battle was just so underwhelming, and I didn't even really like. It wasn't like me giving it high expectations. Like, the game itself gave it such high expectations because it's Ragnarok. It's Ragnarok. They were talking about, we gotta assemble all the armies. Like, I was perfectly okay with just like, all right, we're just gonna have 10 gods just fucking clapping each other's cheeks and shit. That would have been fine with me. Just all these gods just going hand to hand. That would have been cool. But then it went even further, and it was like, all right, so we're gonna ally every realm that's left that can actually help us. We're gonna get all the undead warriors, gonna get all these elves, that's dwarves. It seemed like we were getting ready for the biggest motherfucking battle that we've ever faced in God of War history. And what we got was just like, it was basically like a tenth of the battle that was promised. Like, you don't really get to see much of the Valkyries. You don't get to see much of Skull and Hansi. Like, they were there for like small segments, but that was it. And like I said, the segments that they were there for, it was awesome, but I wanted more of that though, and like, I hate how like in the final battle and stuff, like there's still like these like weird obstacles we gotta go over, like how I had to climb onto rocks still and all this shit, and how we're going through like these wall climbing segments, and like for the final battle, it doesn't make any sense for us to have that shit, because you gotta believe that everyone is capable of doing what Kratos is doing, like using a blade to get yourself into a higher vantage point. Like, you gotta believe that every single one of these people are doing the exact same shit to get around. No, like, that doesn't make any sense. This should be a simple playing field. We're just fighting and stuff. We shouldn't have to do all these obstacle things. That's another thing too. It felt like there were so many more obstacles in Ragnarok, like the wall slidey stuff, the climbing shit. Like, that stuff was fine in 2018 because it wasn't really that like. It wasn't that bad because it wasn't near. It didn't feel like there was near as many of that type of stuff as there was in Ragnarok. Ragnarok felt like it had so much of that, like where you had to climb shit, you had to jump over shit, and I would have been okay with that had we, gone over more stories, but we didn't. Like, more often than not, it was just radio silence for the entire time. And from what I've heard, the reason why they did so much of that climbing segment stuff in 2018 God of War was because the PS5 or PS4 just couldn't really. It had to load. They had to have some form of loading. So when you did that shit, it was for loading purposes. But when Ragnarok came out, they still did that stuff, but they didn't need to this time, which didn't make any sense. But why it was alright in 2018 was because, you know, like I said, Mimir and, you know, Atreus were always talking about, like, actually interesting shit. Like, they're, you know, like, all the gods, you know, Scotty and Ymir and all of them, they were talking about all these other gods and stuff, which made it a lot more interesting, you know? But when you come to Ragnarok, they're not talking about, there's many times they're not talking at all, and there's many times that they're just not talking about anything like that interests us, you know? And a lot of times Atreus is just so obsessed with this war, it's like, we gotta get everyone together, they have to help us, right? They have to help us, right? It's like, Atreus, shut up! Like, I like Atreus, but dude, like, he's so obsessed with this war, and like, by the time, like, he actually goes into this war, it's like, you know, he feels so bad about the war. It's like, this is what the fuck you wanted, like, for 20 hours of the game. And he's like, now he feels bad about it. It's like, bro, make up your damn mind. I mean, I get it, but it's just, dude. Because, like, Atreus is just so obsessed with the war, and it kind of got a little tedious, because, like, it made me miss the younger Atreus. It really did. Like the actor did great. Like, he did everything in his power to make, you know, he did everything in his power to make his character, like, shine a lot more, and he did that. Like, I felt like his performance was a lot better than it was in, you know, the older God of War. But when it came to the actual storytelling, I just felt like Atreus was so much less of a character. I missed the charm that he had. I missed the kind heart that he had. And he still has those things. It's just, it doesn't show the light of day as much. He's so obsessed with the war. He's so obsessed with killing Odin and Thor. I mean, I just didn't really like that too much, because it just didn't really go well with his character. Like, I get that should be a little concerned about it, but I hate that that's his devoted character altogether, you know? And it makes sense why, like, he's looking for Tyr. That part makes sense. But, because Tyr's, like, the only person that can really help him to discover, like, who Loki is. Because, you know, Tyr is a giant. He had a lot of experience with giants. So it makes sense for him to go after Tyr. You know, as he's a god, he's a giant. Yeah. It makes sense for him to go after Tyr. But I wish we have actually found the real Tyr. That would have been really cool, but we did not. I still like the Atreus though. The parts that him and Kratos have together is just, really touchy stuff. It's really good, really, good progression with their relationship. Just how much closer they gotten over the years is just really, really heartwarming, honestly. I love the beginning though, where Sindri is like talking, like, I love that Sindri was just like, saying at the beginning, like, "Oh my goodness, look how big you've grown, Atreus." Like he could, like, he was pretending that he didn't recognize him, even though he was actually going on missions behind his back. That part was so funny. It's like, look how big you've grown, Atreus. And Kratos is like, because Atreus was telling him about it. And then once Sindri knows that Kratos was told everything, he just hides behind Atreus. It was so funny. He was like, someone else speak. Oh, it was so good. But that was another character that just made me really sad, though. Like, Brock was my pretty much like my favorite character, and Sindri was, I mean, while he wasn't close to my favorite, I wouldn't say. Uh, he was still pretty up there. Like, I still loved having him in the story with us. It was so sad seeing how he changed his character completely. Like, he was just completely broken. There was just nothing left of the old Sindri. Even at like Brock's funeral, it was just he was just not Sindri. It wasn't him anymore. And I, like I get that he's upset, and I get that he he does blame Atreus. I get blames Atreus and Kratos for it, since they're the one that brought him there. But like at the beginning of the story, like, you know, Sindri was the one that kind of like inspired, you know, Atreus to keep going for her and keep trying to see Tyr. And but also, like, I think the one thing that uh and I get that they kind of mention it in the game too. I'm not blaming Sindri. His character change definitely makes sense. He's just broken, you know. But I'm just kind of pointing out that, like, it really isn't Kratos' or Atreus' fault. I mean, no one knew, like, not even Sindri, you know. And but the one thing they gotta like remember is, like, Brock and Sindri were not like getting along at all before Kratos and Atreus. Like, they were like Kratos and Atreus did not get along. Or sorry, Kratos and Atreus. Brock and Sindri did not get along before Kratos and Atreus came along. And the only reason why they, you know, Brock and Sindri came together was because, you know, they were both helping Kratos and Atreus. That was the only reason they ever came together, because, you know, they figured, I guess Sindri just figured, well, since we're pretty much helping the same person, we might as well just help them together, sort of deal. I guess that's how I saw it. And, you know, they finally worked together, and it's because of, you know, them both helping Kratos and Atreus on their journey, that actually made that partnership come back to life, you know. So, like I said, I do understand his character change. It does make sense. But I'm just pointing out the fact that, you know, the only reason they actually became friends again was because of that reason of Kratos and Atreus coming into the light. You know, both having them both get help from Brock and Sindri, you know, that's a kind of brought them all together. So I do hope in the future games that Sindri comes back and maybe forgives them, but or maybe he'll just be broken forever. And I remember the voice actor for Sindri. He said the line that I kind of agree with him on this too. The line he said that the line that broke his heart with Sindri's character is like when Atreus says it was at the forge scene, and he was saying that Atreus Atreus said that I thought we were his family too, and Kratos said we were, and the actor for Sindri said that part broke his heart and with Sindri's character, and you know, I honestly fully agree with that. You know, that was really sad, honestly, because I mean the relationship sorry, but the relationship between, you know, Atreus and Sindri at the beginning of the game was just, you know, it was just so, you know, they were so close, you know, and anytime Atreus got upset, you know, Sindri was there for him, you know. And it was kind of interesting to see that, like, whereas, you know, Brock got a lot more along with Kratos, Sindri got a lot more along with Atreus, and their personalities do kind of reflect each other too, I guess. So it was kind of cool seeing, you know, those, you know, each, I guess each dwarf kind of having their, I guess preference, I guess their preferred friend. I don't really know. They just got along, like, you know, like Brock, like I said, Brock just got along better with Kratos, and Sindri just got along with Atreus more. It's just how it was, you know. They kind of just clicked. They clicked with each other easier, I guess. But it makes me so sad that Brock is gone, dude. I really liked Brock. I could never win with this shit, dude. It's like every source of media, my favorite fucking character dies. Star Wars, my favorite character was, well, I guess I had a lot of characters I would consider my favorite, but they're all dead anyway. And funnily enough, they're all dead from the same person. Pretty much anyway. Darth Vader. Darth Vader was one of my favorites, although he died. He didn't die to Obi-Wan, but he died to, technically Palpatine. But, you know, Darth Maul. I like Darth Maul. He's dead. General Grievous. He's dead. Maul and Grievous are both killed by Obi-Wan. And then Halo, Sergeant Johnson, my boy Johnson, dead. Fucking Gears of War, Dom, dead. I love Dom, and he's fucking dead. It's like, bro, like, I cannot win with this shit, man. I can't. It's like, no matter what source of media I follow, my favorite character is always the one that gets fucking fried. Fucking bullshit, dude. I can't win with this shit. Makes me it makes me just never want to have a favorite character ever, because they're just gonna fucking die anyway. Oh shit, dude. I hate it. Hell, I mean, even Skyrim, my favorite character. I mean, technically this is an option, but if you want to continue missions with the blades, guess you gotta fucking kill Parthenax. And you bet your ass, I wanted to see what else there was with the blades, and go figure, I fucking killed my boy Parthenax, and I still hate myself for that shit. I had to kill my favorite character for those dumb fucking blade dudes, and they... Okay, anyway, we're getting off topic anyway. I'm pissed now. I'm sad. Well, actually, what other thing did I... Oh, yeah. Fucking in Marvel. We'll talk about Marvel since I was talking about Thor earlier. My favorite character, Iron Man. I technically had two characters, Iron Man and Hulk, but they fucking ruined Hulk, and Iron Man is like, bro, like I can't get a break with this shit. This shit sucks. The media hates me, man. They fucking hate my characters. Leave my characters alone. Hot damn. Anyway, let's talk about... I talked about characters extensively. Talk about level design, how there's so many obstacles. They didn't really like that too much. Hope they tone it down next time. The combat I preferred in 2018. Definitely. The combat was so much better in 2018's. I shouldn't say so much better. But, well, I don't know. It's just... In 2018, my favorite weapons... Well, my favorite weapon in 2018 was the axe. But in Ragnarok, I actually didn't like using the axe. Like, anytime I had to use it, I really didn't want to. It just felt so much lighter. And I think there was actually a video I watched, and it actually is. There's a video comparing every single attack from the Leviathan axe to Ragnarok. And the Leviathan axe actually does look and feel so much lighter in Ragnarok, and I did not like that. I liked the axe just being such a heavy hitter. Like, there's so many like charging attacks that wasn't present in this game compared to 2018, which made me very upset. Also, Atreus. Speaking of commanding Atreus here on this scene, Atreus was so much worse. Like, despite him being older and everything, he was so much like less useful as an ally for you. I mean, I personally thought anyway. Like, there's a lot of times I just saw him just standing still, doing absolutely jackass nothing. It's like, bro, what are you doing? Help me out. Like in fucking 2018's God of War, dude, like, Atreus starts out like shit, but holy mother of God, dude. Like, I remember I was doing fights. I was winning fights just by using Atreus, like, because I was thinking, like, because Atreus felt super OP late game, and he is, like he's stunning enemies left and right, like all his, because he has those, like, lightning arrows. You don't get lightning arrows in this game, sadly. But those lightning arrows, like, he was, like, lightning them up. He was fucking stunning all of them with those. He would grapple enemies and stun them for you. Like, and he would stun them for a fucking long-ass time. Like, you just go, ah! And he's still stunning the fuck out of them. The enemy's just like, I can't do anything. The enemy just couldn't do anything in 2018 with Atreus. Like, he was so oppressive with stuns and crowd control. It was awesome. And in this game, they went back on that, and I don't know. It was cool that you got to play as Atreus, but I absolutely hated what they did to his AI as your ally. He does, like, maybe 20% of what he did in 2018. Like, 2018, he was oppressive as fuck, son. He was oppressive as shit. Oh, look at the little bears. I forgot about this part. No! They're so cute. Anyway. But, yeah, Atreus was so much better at fighting in 2018. Funnily enough, until you play him, like, once you play him and see what he's capable of, it's like, boy, why the fuck aren't you doing that with Kratos? Like, god damn, if he was doing even half the shit that I was doing with him, I would lose a fight, dude. Kratos' playstyle in this game is fucking insane, but not when he's being played by the AI. He's nothing when he's being played by the AI. I mean, it's so much worse. And I just miss the unarmed combat. Like, the unarmed combat, the shield combat, just, like, they had a full tree. Like, a full dedicated combat tree in 2018's God of War. And in this game, they just kind of scrapped all that. Like, they just, I don't know. The unarmed combat felt terrible. Like, I actually kind of mentioned it here, too, because, like, anytime you execute someone, like, you can see I'm using my unarmed attacks, but I'm still using a fucking axe to cut them in half, and that wasn't like that in 2018. Like, you had your own executions with even your unarmed attacks, and you had multiple executions. Like, it was so awesome, just like fucking grabbing someone and breaking their neck, and just throwing them on the ground. Like, there's so many unarmed attacks, and now it's like you only have the fucking, even when you're using it unarmed, you're still using your axe. And like, again, I don't like how they changed the axe. The axe is just so much less weight than it used to have. My favorite weapons actually became the blades, which wasn't like that for me in 2018. The 2018, the blades, it wasn't like the blades got better in this game either. Like, it's not like I don't like the blades. I like every weapon, obviously, but I don't know. The axe felt really nice to me, because I love heavier attack weapons, and the axe just lost that momentum for me in Ragnarok. So, and the unarmed attacks were so much weaker. They didn't do any damage either. That's another thing. They did so much less damage. Because before, like, you actually had to use your unarmed attacks to fight like ice enemies and shit like that. But now it's like they don't ever have you. They don't force you to use your unarmed attacks because they know it fucking sucks ass. The Draupnir spear is pretty fucking cool. I like that addition, but it doesn't make up for the major loss in unarmed and shield combat. It just doesn't. It felt like you lost 2 weapon trees for 1. And to be honest, like the spear, despite how cool it was, it does kind of play a lot the same as the blades, in the sense like it's fast moving and agile, right? But you lost your bruntal weapons, which were the shield and fist, which honestly were just, it was just really upsetting for me. And the fact that your axe was a lot less aggressive in the brunt department too, it just made it all the worse, I guess. I still had a lot of fun with the combat though. It's just, when you compare it to 2018's though, it falls very much short. The story was great. The character progression was I mean, it was about the same, but like, I did not like the late game armors, honestly. I thought I liked the armor system so much more just because there's ranks to them. But the armor systems just were kind of disappointing, just simply by the fact that, well, I mean, the armors are just so much. I mean, this is more of an opinion base. But for me, I felt that the armors were just a lot less cool looking. Like, there was so many badass armors in the late game phase of 2018. Like, there was like all the mist armor that you got access to. There was the Valkyrie armor, which was awesome as hell. The Dwarven armor, Tyr's armor, Zeus's armor. And in this game, I felt like the armors was just, they were just so much less cool looking. The metal, on the other hand, like all the metal armor pieces, like the texture of them looks so, like the metal pieces, the texture of them looks so much cooler than 2018's. But other than that, though, like, nothing else was really that cool looking. And I'm also kind of disappointed by the fact that they didn't really add anything to the creative side, like, because the only thing you change, despite it being like a heavy RPG where you customize all these things, it's like there's nothing that changes, like your pants, like your lower body doesn't change. Like, the only thing you're changing is the little waist. You're only changing the waist, the chest, and the arms, but you don't change like nothing with the head. I would love to have to be able to have helmet options in the in later installments, maybe That'd be cool. I would love to have like helmet installments, uh, like more actual leg armor other than just waist. I just wish you could have more creative decisions in armors. Hopefully, we could get that in the future if there is going to be another God of War in the future, which I would hope so. But I honestly don't know what the writing team's gonna do because you and I can't really think of what. But they have very much surprised me with 2018, and they have surprised me with Ragnarok, despite me not liking the ending as much as I would have hoped, just because it just ended so fast. I feel like there is a lot more I could add. I will just leave with one more thing. Um, I feel like Ragnarok's final battle was, like I said, I just felt it was really underwhelming. It was still epic, but I felt it was really underwhelming. I thought the fight with Thor and Odin would be a lot more interesting at the end, but it just wasn't. I mean, the fight with Thor at the beginning of the game was just so much more epic. I mean, it was. But at least cinematic wise, like combat wise, it was a lot more epic in the end game. But cinematically, nothing really happened between you and Thor or Odin. Like Odin didn't have any cinematic fight really. The best thing he does is just smash the fucking ground. And so yeah, I don't know. I just wish that the final battle, the other, like I said at the beginning, like 65% of the game was pretty good writing, and the last 35% was just pretty bad. I would have forgiven that last 35% had the battle just been as epic as it started, but it just wasn't. I go into a little bit more detail in the other video with why I don't like the final battle, if you want to hear that rant. Although I do repeat myself quite often, as I do find myself doing quite a lot, because I don't know why I do it, it just kind of fucking happens, I guess. But, yeah. I do think overall God of War Ragnarok is definitely worth a pickup. It is definitely worth your time and investment if you haven't already done so. Played it through the game. Um, I would definitely say it's more of a 7 out of 10. I might could give it an 8, but for me, I feel like it more rates on 7 when you compare it to 2018's God of War, or even God of War 3. I would say it definitely falls more in line with 7 out of 10 level than 8 or 9 or 10. Uh, I hope that they fix the combat. I hope they kind of bring back the 2018's version of unarmed combat. I felt the unarmed combat and shield combat was fantastic in that, and I hope we get more customization options in the future. But I don't know what awaits for God of War. I don't know. But I guess that's all I really gotta say for now. If you guys enjoyed this, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Uh, if you made it this far, that's freaking nuts. But yeah. But I'll see y'all in the next one. Hopefully we can get more gameplay footage and stuff like that. And whatever game we play. Alright guys, that's all I got for you today. This is Legendary Fine Titan signing off. Peace.